You opened this video because you want to know the truth. Not about raiders, not about kings, about a hidden Viking clan with strength you do not see in sagas. Strength your body would not hold. Strength modern warriors do not reach. This story follows one person from that clan, a lone girl named Sif. She grew up in a hall carved into stone, snow pressed against the roof year-round. Her tribe survived through cold seasons that broke other clans. Their training shaped bodies and minds in ways lost today. And Sif carried those skills in silence, until one winter forced her to reveal them. If you think you know Viking strength, you will question it after this story. Because this clan shaped something different, something deeper, something forgotten. You are about to hear a story about a hidden Viking clan isolated from others, a place where cold shaped muscle, where darkness shaped reflex, where silence shaped focus. Modern warriors train with tools and comfort. This clan trained with ice, hunger, and long nights without rest. And at the center of this story stands Sif, a young girl raised in that hall of stone. Her strength grew without noise. Her heart grew without praise. But one winter forced her to rise, forced her to reveal what her clan built inside her. Stay with me now as we step into this forgotten place. Before we begin, settle your body for a moment. Loosen your shoulders. Let your breath slow. If you sit under a blanket, pull it close. If you sit in the dark, let the room stay quiet. Tell me where you watch from. I enjoy seeing how far these stories travel. If you want more long Viking tales like this, feel welcome to subscribe or leave a calm comment. It supports the next story in ways you feel later. Now take one more soft breath. Let your mind rest as we step into the stone hall where Sif lived. Her clan stayed hidden from others. Their lives shaped strength forgotten in our time. And her path begins now. Snow pressed against the stone walls of the hidden hall. Wind howled above the cliff like a living thing. The clan inside did not react to the noise. They heard storms like this for generations. They lived under rock and ice. They trained in silence. They moved as one. Sif sat near the far wall with her back straight. She sharpened a short blade with slow strokes. Sparks jumped from the edge. Her breath stayed steady. She did not look up when footsteps approached. Her mother stopped beside her. "You wake early," Sif nodded. "The cold woke me. The stone shook." "It shook because the drift climbed higher," her mother said. "Not because danger walked near." Sif set the blade down. "I know, but my chest felt tight." "That is not fear," her mother said. "That is instinct. You train it. Then you trust it." Sif looked toward the hearth. Flames burned low. Shadows shifted across the stone walls. Men and women moved around the hall in calm silence. No rushing, no wasted steps. Every movement had purpose. The clan lived without noise. Every sound mattered. That silence shaped their strength. Sif's mother knelt beside her. She held Sif's hands. "Today you start your winter trial." Sif nodded. "I am ready." Her mother studied her eyes for a moment. "Strength walks in you, but strength grows through cold, hunger, and slow breath. Keep calm. Keep steady." Sif tightened her jaw. "I will." Her mother rose and left her. Sif watched her go. Her body felt warm with purpose. Winter trials shaped each young person in the clan. Trails through snow, tasks done alone, nights spent outside without help. All this formed strength that tribes outside these cliffs never reached. Sif stood and placed her blade at her belt. Her heart beat slow. Her breath stayed controlled. She walked toward the far door. Outside, cold waited like a wall. A hand grabbed her wrist. She turned to see Scarred, a boy older than her by 3 winters. His hair hung long over his shoulders. His eyes looked sharp. "Where do you walk?" he asked. "To the trial," she said. "You go alone?" "Yes." He crossed his arms. "You start early." Sif looked him in the eyes. "Why do you care?" "Because the storm grows. The ridge is steep. The path holds ice." He leaned closer. "Your mother should walk with you." Sif pulled her wrist free. "We walk trials alone. You know this." Scarred smirked. "Some walk alone and return strong. Others walk alone and do not return." Sif stepped past him without a word. She heard him chuckle behind her. She pushed through the heavy door. Cold hit her face like a sharp wave. She stepped outside. The hidden valley lay before her. Snow covered the ground in thick layers. Pines bent under the weight. Wind rushed across the cliffs high above. The hall entrance sat carved into stone, hidden by shadows and snow. Anyone passing through the valley would never know a clan lived here. Sif walked down the narrow path between boulders. Snow rose to her knees. Her breath left thin clouds in the air. Her boots crunched with each step. She liked this sound. It grounded her. She reached the first marker of the trial, a stone carved with old runes, runes only her clan used. She pressed her hand to it. The stone felt cold. Ice stuck to her skin for a moment, then broke away. She moved forward. A hawk cried overhead. Its wings cut through wind with smooth lines. Sif watched it for a moment. Hawks endured storms with calm. Her people admired that. Her mother told her, "Hawks waste no strength." Sif continued down the path. She reached the second marker, a fallen log frozen in place. She stepped over it. Her legs burned from the cold. She pushed on. The valley stretched long. A river hid under thick ice to her left. Cliffs rose high on both sides. She saw no tracks, no signs of life, only wind. She reached the training pit, a circle carved into the ground. Her first task waited here. The clan used heavy stones to test strength in winter. She walked to the center and brushed snow away from a large rock. Her fingers felt numb at first. She blew warm breath onto her palms. She placed both hands under the stone. She lifted with slow pressure. Her legs took the weight. Her arms trembled. But she lifted it. She held it for 5 breaths. 1, her arms steadied. 2, her back tightened. 3, her lungs burned. 4, her fingers slipped. 5, she set the stone down slow, without dropping it. She stepped back. Her chest rose and fell. She shook her arms to bring warmth back. Task 1 done. Wind grew stronger. Snow whipped around her boots. She pulled her cloak tighter and walked toward the next rise. On the ridge above her, unseen to her eyes, 2 clan elders watched through a narrow gap in the stone. They observed each trial without speaking. They judged every step, every movement, every breath. Sif did not know they watched, but they watched everyone. One elder leaned forward. "She moves with calm." The other nodded. "She carries old strength." They stayed silent. Sif reached the second task location. A set of wooden posts stood in a line, each one wrapped with old rope. The task here tested body movement. She stepped between the posts. She moved sideways. She ducked. She stepped under rope. She tightened her core. She rolled under the last post and stood with stable breath. The elders nodded again. Sif pushed snow off her shoulders. Her breath stayed steady. She walked toward the ridge. The final task stood at the top, the climb. Snow covered the slope in a smooth layer. Ice hid under the surface. Many slipped here. Many slid back down. The tribe viewed this climb as the heart of the trial. Those who reached the top showed balance, strength, focus, and instinct. Sif placed her foot forward. Wind slammed against her cloak. She braced herself. She reached for a rock. Her fingers dug into the cold surface. She pulled herself up. Her boots pressed into snow. She climbed step by step. Her legs burned. Her hands stung. Her breath came in slow bursts. She looked up. The ridgetop felt far, but she climbed without pause. She reached a patch of ice. Her foot slipped. Her body tilted. She grabbed a root that jutted from the ground. The root froze her hand, but it saved her from falling. She steadied her breath. She climbed again. Wind slapped her face. Her cloak flapped behind her. Snow stung her eyes. She reached the final stretch. Her arms felt heavy. Her chest ached, but she pushed through it. She grabbed the top. She pulled herself up. She stood on the ridge with her feet planted wide and her breath deep. The valley spread below her. The stone hall lay hidden under snow. The forest stretched dark. The cliffs rose on both sides. She held her arms at her sides and closed her eyes. This ridge stood as the clan's highest point of strength. Young warriors stood here to face the wind. They stood here to let the cold pass through their bones. They stood here to show the ancestors. They carried the clan's weight. Sif stayed for 10 breaths. 1. Cold rushed across her cheeks. 2. Her body felt steady. 3. Her lungs expanded slow. 4. Her feet pressed into firm ground. 5. Snow dusted her hair. 6. Her fingers curled and uncurled. 7. Her heartbeat calm. 8. Her shoulders softened. 9. Wind roared past her. 10. Her eyes opened. She walked down the far side of the ridge. This side led to the hidden lake. The clan believed the lake held old spirits. No one swam in it. But trial walkers stepped near its edge for final reflection. Sif reached the shoreline. Ice covered the lake in a thick layer. Cracks spread across the surface like thin lines of lightning. She stood on the snow-covered bank and breathed slow. A sound echoed across the ice. A dull crack. Sif tilted her head. Another crack. She stepped closer. Then she saw it. A hole in the ice. A wide, dark circle. Snow blown aside around it. Something broke through here. Something big. Her heart tightened. Her breath caught. She crouched and studied the edges. Thick ice shattered outward. Something forced its way from below. Something rose from under the lake. She looked at the snow leading away from the hole. Tracks, large tracks, deep tracks. Her skin crawled. Her clan lived isolated. The lake froze thick each winter. No animal on land broke through ice like this, and no person from her clan walked here during storm nights. She looked again at the tracks. 5 prints, each one wide, each one heavier than a normal human foot. She stood up. Her breath came fast now. She forced it calm. She scanned the trees. Nothing moved. But the air felt different. Sharp, tense, watchful. She stepped back from the water. She reached for her blade. She walked backward up the slope. Her instincts screamed inside her chest. The lake felt wrong. The valley felt wrong. The trial no longer felt safe. She turned and climbed the ridge fast. Wind hit her again at the top. She looked back one last time. The lake sat still. The hole in the ice lay dark and wide. Tracks pointed toward the forest. She swallowed. She ran down the other side. Snow flew around her feet. Her breath came fast. Her chest burned. She ignored the pain. She ran until the stone hall came into view. She reached the door and pushed it open. Her mother rushed toward her. "Sif, what happened?" Sif bent over, hands on her knees. "Something walked on the lake." The hall fell silent at once. The chieftain stepped forward, his eyes sharpened. "What did you see?" "A hole in the ice," Sif said. "Large. Something climbed out, something heavy. The tracks led toward the trees." Skard stepped closer. "You speak truth?" Sif stared at him. "I speak truth." The chieftain nodded once. "Show us." Sif lifted her head. "You want me to lead?" "Yes," he said. "You saw it first. We follow you." Sif swallowed hard. Fear swirled inside her, but her training steadied her. She stood straight and tightened her belt. She walked toward the door again. Her mother watched with both pride and worry. Skard grabbed his spear. The chieftain lifted his axe. Elders followed. Sif stepped outside. The storm eased. The valley felt colder. The wind felt sharper. She walked toward the ridge again. She did not look back. Sif led the group through deep snow. Her boots sank with each step. Her breath came slow and steady. The chieftain walked behind her. His axe rested on his shoulder. Skard followed next, spear in hand. The elders walked last in a tight line. No one spoke. Silence kept their senses sharp. Snow drifted from the cliffs above. The storm faded into a quiet cold. The valley carried an uneasy stillness. Sif knew the trial ended early, but the clan needed to see the lake tracks. They needed to read any signs before the snow covered them. She reached the ridge. She stepped onto the slope and climbed again. Her legs burned from the earlier trial, but she forced herself forward. The clan watched her steps. They read her movement. She did not want to show weakness. She reached the top. Wind slid across the ridge with a thin hiss. She stepped aside so the others could gather. "Show us," the chieftain said. Sif pointed down toward the frozen lake. "There." They descended the far side of the ridge. Snow shifted under their boots. Skard reached the bottom first. He looked across the lake and froze. "What is this?" he muttered. The chieftain stepped up beside him, his eyes locked on the hole in the ice. He crouched and touched the edge. Ice cracked under his fingers. He stood. Something broke free from below. The elders moved closer. One leaned down and studied the prints in the snow. He did not touch them. He traced the air above each one. "These prints sink deeper than any person," he said. "And wider," the chieftain added. Skard walked toward the tree line. He crouched. "It walked this way." Sif looked at the dark forest. The trees stood thick. Branches drooped with snow. The ground under them gave no wind sound. The forest felt sealed. The chieftain turned toward the group. "We follow the tracks." An elder raised a hand. "Not all of us," the chieftain nodded. "Skard, you come." Skard gripped his spear tighter. The elder pointed at Sif. "She saw it first. She knows the path. She joins the search." Sif stiffened. "I will follow." Her mother stepped forward. "Let me walk with her." The elder shook his head. "No, she walks her own pace." Sif's mother lowered her gaze, then returned safe. Sif gave her a small nod. The chieftain started toward the trees. "We walk quiet. We walk slow." Sif followed at his side. Skard walked behind them with his spear raised. The elder stayed near the lake to guard the area. Sif entered the forest. Snow thinned under the thick branches. Shadows covered the ground. The air felt colder here. The tracks ran straight through the trees. Each print showed deep pressure in the snow. Whatever walked here moved with heavy steps. The chieftain crouched beside one track. "Not a bear," Skard shook his head. "Too long, too human." Sif felt her throat tighten. She stepped forward and studied the prints carefully. Something about them felt familiar. The shape looked wrong, yet not strange. It looked half human, half larger. She felt a cold shiver. She could not explain it. They followed the tracks deeper into the trees. A ravine appeared ahead, snow piled between the tall walls of stone. The tracks turned and slid into the ravine. Skard sighed. It dropped down. "We follow," the chieftain said. He stepped into the ravine first. His boots slid. He steadied himself with one hand on the wall. Sif climbed down next. Her fingers froze against the rough stone. She lowered herself slow. Skard joined them. The ravine felt narrow. Snow filled the space. Wind did not enter here. The air felt heavy. They walked deeper. The tracks grew more spaced apart. Each print pressed deeper than before. Whatever walked ahead increased its steps. Sif whispered, "It ran." The chieftain nodded. "Yes." Skard scanned the walls. "Ran from what?" No one answered. They reached a bend in the ravine. A dark stain marked the snow. The chieftain knelt. He touched the stain and lifted his fingers. Red. Blood. Skard stepped closer. "It bleeds." Sif stared at the stain. It felt warm in her memory. The creature broke free under the ice. It broke the lake from below. It walked with heavy steps. Now it bled. She wondered what injury it carried, or who wounded it. The chieftain stood. "Stay alert." They followed the blood trail. Drops fell in uneven patterns. They ran along the tracks. Sometimes the drops looked thick, sometimes scattered. The creature moved fast and unstable. The ravine widened. A cluster of broken branches lay ahead. Sif stepped toward them. She knelt and touched the wood. The edges snapped clean. She lifted a piece. It smelled sharp, not like rot, like fresh break. Skard frowned. It forced its way through. They followed the broken branches to a steep slope inside the ravine. Snow piled high where the creature climbed out. The tracks dug deep into the slope. The blood drops spread wide. Sif said, "It climbed fast." Skard glanced at her. "You speak with a strange tone." Sif met his gaze. "I read the trail." He grunted and looked away. They climbed over the slope. Sif pulled herself up. Snow stuck to her gloves. The chieftain reached the top first. He lifted his hand to signal silence. They all froze. A low sound echoed through the trees, a slow, heavy breath. Sif felt her spine tense. She looked ahead. The forest turned darker. Thick pines blocked the sky. Snow fell in thin flakes. The sound came again, a long, slow exhale, like something large tried to calm itself. The chieftain lowered into a crouch. "Weapons ready." Skarda lifted his spear. Sif drew her blade. They moved forward step by step. The breathing grew louder. A shape appeared between the trees. Large, broad shoulders, a hunched back. Snow dusted its head. It leaned against a fallen log. Its arms trembled. Blood dripped onto the snow. The shape shifted. Sif's heart slammed hard. It was a man. A giant of a man. His skin looked pale under dirt and ice. His hair hung in tangled ropes. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. Blood soaked his left side. His arms looked thick with strength beyond her clan's strongest. Skard whispered, "He lives." The chieftain stepped forward. "Who are you?" The man lifted his head. His eyes flicked open. They looked tired. They looked wild. He spoke with a rough voice. "Help me." He collapsed onto the snow. Skard rushed toward him. The chieftain grabbed his arm. "Wait." Skard pulled free. "He bleeds. He needs aid." The chieftain studied the giant man. "We must know who he is first." Sif stepped closer. She felt something strong inside her. A pull. She looked over the man's body. She saw marks on his arms, runes carved into his skin. Not ink, scars shaped into symbols. heavy history pressed into each line. She whispered, "These marks. Our clan used them once." The chieftain turned to her. "How do you know?" "I saw them on an old carving in the deep hall." The chieftain stepped closer. He knelt beside the man. He pressed 2 fingers to his throat. His pulse beat slow. "He lives," he said. Skard leaned over. "We take him back." Sif shook her head. "Not yet." Skard frowned. "Why not?" Sif stared at the man's runes. Her chest tightened. Something old stirred inside her. She felt something she could not name. Instinct, weight, memory not her own. "We must learn who hurt him first," she said. "He broke the ice from below. He climbed from the lake. Something pushed him there." The chieftain looked at her with sharp eyes. "Explain." Sif held her blade low. "He escaped something." As she said it, a new sound echoed across the ravine. A distant crack, a distant howl. Not wind, not animal, something else. Skard gripped his spear tighter. "What was that?" The chieftain stood slowly. "We move now. We take him to the hall. We guard the valley. Something hunts him." Sif felt the cold sink into her bones. Whatever hunted him might already move through the trees. She looked into the dark forest. Snow fell silent again. The group lifted the giant man and placed him between them. The chieftain took his right arm. Skard took his left. Sif walked close behind. She kept her blade raised. They moved fast toward the ridge. Snow kicked up behind their boots. The forest creaked. Wind whispered through branches. They reached the slope. The chieftain climbed first with the large man's weight across his shoulders. Skard struggled below him. Sif pushed from behind to help. They climbed the ridge slow. Another howl echoed through the trees. Closer now. Sif felt her breath freeze in her throat. She did not look back. She kept climbing. They reached the top. The valley lay before them. The stone hall waited across the snowfield. Smoke rose from its chimney. Warmth waited behind those walls. The chieftain grunted. "Move!" They ran down the ridge. Snow slid under their boots. Sif stayed close to the man's side. She heard his weak breath. She felt his heavy presence. Something old lived in him, something familiar. They neared the lake. The elders stood ready with weapons drawn. One elder saw the man. His eyes widened. "Is it him?" The chieftain nodded. "He lives." The elder stepped forward. "Bring him inside, now." Skard looked confused. "You know him?" The elder replied without turning. "Not him, his marks." Sif swallowed hard. She felt her chest tighten again. Runes cut into flesh. Runes carved with intention. A name lost. A history buried. These marks told a story no one shared in her lifetime. The group reached the hall. 2 clan members pushed the heavy door open. Warm air rushed out. They carried the man inside. Sif walked behind them. The door closed. The hall fell silent. All eyes turned toward the stranger. Sif stood at his feet. She waited. The elder pointed at her. "You," he said. "Stay close. You guide us now." Sif blinked. "Why me?" "Because you saw the signs. Because the spirits watch your steps." Sif felt shock wash over her. She tried to speak. No words came. The chieftain spoke instead. "What do we call you when we speak of this task?" The elder answered. "Her name stands as the Watcher now." Sif felt the room press in around her. Everyone stared. Her trial ended. Her true test began. The hall filled with soft murmurs as the clan gathered around the wounded man. Torches flickered along the stone walls. Heat from the hearth pushed back the cold. The air felt heavy with questions no one asked loud. Sif stood near the stranger's side. Her fingers stayed tight around her blade handle. She watched his chest rise and fall with slow effort. The chieftain knelt beside him. He pressed a hand against the wound. Blood seeped through his fingers. "We must clean this." An elder brought a bowl of warm water. Another carried strips of clean cloth. They worked in silence. Skard stood guard at the door with his spear ready. Sif watched the man's eyes flicker open for a moment. He stared at her. His gaze looked sharp, not confused, not weak. Sharp. He whispered, "You saw the trail?" Sif stepped closer. "Yes." He nodded once, then fell still again. The elder beside her said, "He knows you." Sif shook her head. "I never met him." "He knows something in you," the elder said. "Or he knows your blood." Sif looked at the runes on his arms. Her stomach tightened. The marks ran deep. They wrapped around his shoulder. They formed patterns long forgotten in her clan. The chieftain said, "Tell us what you know of him." Sif took a slow breath. "I saw the marks in the deep hall, on the old stone carvings. The marks belong to a hidden branch of our people." The chieftain looked up at her. "A branch we lost," an elder added. "A branch wiped out many winters ago," Sif said. "He must belong to them," Skarda frowned. "One survivor, after all this time?" The elder shook his head. "More than one lived, we know this. We found signs long ago, but no person returned until now." They finished cleaning the wound. The man breathed easier. His body relaxed slightly. The chieftain stood. "We speak now. Sif stays. The rest leave." Skard hesitated at the door. "Chieftain, I should guard." "Leave," the chieftain said. Skard lowered his spear and stepped out. The elders formed a small circle around the hearth. Sif stood at the edge. The stranger lay beside her, still weak. Snow melted from his hair and dripped onto the floor. The chieftain looked at Sif. "Tell us everything you saw today." Sif repeated each detail. The broken ice, the prints, the blood, the sounds in the forest, the speed of his escape, the strange sense she felt in her chest when she looked at the runes. When she finished, silence took the room. One elder said, "He fled from something." Another added, "Something that walks." The chieftain nodded. "Something with weight, something reckless enough to chase him." Sif asked, "Do we know what it is?" The elders exchanged slow glances. Finally, one stepped forward. His voice stayed low. "We know stories, old stories, before your time, before your mother's time, stories of a group that trained past human strength. Men and women shaped by cold and hunger. Their bodies grew beyond our own. Their strength grew without limit, but their training broke them." Sif's breath froze. "How?" "They pushed past pain. They pushed past rest. They walked beyond the line our clan does not cross." The chieftain stared into the fire. "Those people lost sense. They hunted their own. They chased shadows. Their minds collapsed." The elder added, "We banish them." Sif looked at the stranger. "He belongs to them?" The elder said, "He bears their marks, but he speaks clear. His mind stays strong. He must be one of the last to escape the madness." A heavy knock hit the hall door. Skard's voice muffled through the wood. "Chieftain, there is movement outside." The chieftain stepped fast toward the door. He pulled it open. Cold wind rushed in. Snow blew across the floor. Skard pointed toward the ridge. "Something stands there." The chieftain narrowed his eyes. "How far?" "Halfway down the ridge," Skard said. "I saw a figure. It hid behind a rock." The elders gathered behind them. Sif stepped out into the cold. She scanned the ridge. Snow fell thin. Shadows clung to stone. Nothing moved. The chieftain said, "Stay close. We guard the hall." Sif kept her blade ready. She felt the cold dig into her skin. She scanned the ridge again. Still nothing, but her body stayed tense. They moved back into the hall and shut the door. The chieftain said, "We keep the stranger inside. He wakes soon. We question him then." Sif returned to his side. His breath steadied. His fingers twitched. His eyes opened again. He stared at the roof, then slowly turned his head toward her. "You brought me here," he said. Sif nodded. "Yes." He tried to rise. Pain stopped him. He gritted his teeth. "Stay down," Sif said. He looked around the hall. "Your clan lives. I feared you were all lost." Sif blinked. "You know us?" He nodded slowly. "I know the marks on the walls. I know the scent of this stone. I know the warmth in the air. This place shaped warriors stronger than any others." Sif felt her breath slow. "Tell me your name," he exhaled. "Haldor." One elder stepped forward. "Haldor, why did you flee the lake?" Haldor stared into the fire. "Because something followed me," the chieftain asked. "What hunted you?" Haldor swallowed. "A remnant of our lost kin, one who lost his mind long ago, one who trained until his bones broke, until the cold shaped him into something beyond human." Sif felt her throat tighten. "It followed you here?" Haldor nodded once. "He walks near. He does not speak. He does not stop. He follows scent and heat." Skard set his spear down. "Why chase you?" "Because," Haldor said, "I tried to stop him. I tried to break him. I failed." The hall fell silent. Haldor looked at Sif. "He hunts those with strength. He hunts your clan." The chieftain said, "We have walls. We have warriors." Haldor shook his head. "You have strength, but not his strength," the elder asked. "What keeps him from reaching us?" Haldor breathed slow. "He studies you. He waits for a weak night. He waits for a quiet moment." Sif felt cold spread through her chest. She asked, "What must we do?" Haldor looked at her. "You must learn. You must train past your current limits. You must walk the frozen path your ancestors walked. You must become stronger than your clan allows." An elder snapped. "We ended that training for a reason." Haldor said, "Then your clan ends here." The chieftain stepped forward. "Enough. Let him rest. We speak again at dawn." The elders left one by one. The chieftain followed. Skard stayed near the door. Sif remained beside Haldor. He looked at her with sharp eyes. "You felt something when you saw my runes." Sif hesitated. "Yes." "You carry their echo," he said. She frowned. "Explain." "You hold the strength of our line, hidden, untouched, sleeping, but it wakes now." Sif felt her pulse rise. "What must I do?" Haldor closed his eyes. "When morning comes, I show you." Sif stayed still. She listened to his breath. She listened to the hall settle. She listened to the wind outside. Somewhere on the ridge, something watched. Something waited. Dawn rose slow over the valley. Pale light crept across the snow. The storm eased into a soft gray morning. Smoke drifted from the stone hall chimney. The clan woke with quiet movement. Footsteps crossed the floor. Voices stayed low. Everyone felt the weight of the night. Sif stood outside the hall. Cold air bit her skin. Her breath rose in thin clouds. She stared at the ridge. She waited for movement. She saw none, but she felt eyes on her. She felt a presence behind the stillness. The hall door opened. Haldor stepped out. He leaned on a wooden staff for support. His wound stayed wrapped under cloth. His steps looked slow but steady. Sif approached him. "You should rest." He shook his head. "I rest when your clan lives." She lowered her voice. "You said you would teach me." "I will," he said. "Now." The chieftain exited the hall behind them. He folded his arms. He asks for training. Do you trust him? Sif answered, No, but I trust his warning. The chieftain nodded. Then I watch. Haldor pointed toward the ridge. We train there. Sif frowned. In the open? Haldor said, Training must match danger. Weak ground builds weak strength. The chieftain placed a hand on Sif's shoulder. I walk with you. Haldor stepped forward. Only she comes. Skard exited the hall with his spear ready. Then I go. Haldor turned his gaze toward him. You hold strength, but you lack the echo. You block the path for her. Skard bristled. I protect her. You slow her, Haldor said. The chieftain raised a hand. Enough. Sif decides. Sif looked at Skard. His chest rose with frustration. But she saw fear in him too. Fear of being left out. Fear of losing control. Fear of losing her. She spoke steady. I go alone. Skard stepped back. This is reckless. Sif looked at him. I return. Haldor turned away and started toward the ridge. Sif followed close behind him. Snow crunched softly under their boots. The valley felt wider than before. The cold pushed against them like a solid weight. Behind them, the hall door closed. They crossed the open field. Haldor's steps left deep prints. His body, even wounded, held heavy strength. Sif watched the way he moved. He leaned on the staff, but his balance stayed perfect. When they reached the ridge, he stopped. Climb, he said. Sif looked up. The ridge rose steep and sharp. Snow clung to stone. Ice covered the upper half. She placed her hands on the rock. Her fingers pressed into cold stone. She climbed slow. She did not look down. Haldor followed without sound. His presence felt close, though he moved behind her with a wound that should have kept him inside. She reached the top. Wind hit her face. The view opened across the valley. The forest stretched dark across the horizon. The lake lay still, frozen solid. Haldor stood beside her. His breath came slow. His eyes stayed pinned to the trees. Lesson 1, he said. Your weakness is not your strength. Your weakness is your fear of using it. Sif frowned. What do you mean? You hold strength waiting to rise, he said. Your clan teaches balance, control. It limits your growth. That works for most, not for you. Sif stayed quiet. Haldor placed a hand on a stone. He gripped it. Snow fell from the top. He squeezed. The stone cracked. A thin line cut across it. Sif stared. How do you do that? Cold shaped me, he said. Pain shaped me. I trained far past limits, but I kept my mind. I broke the cycle that trapped the others. Sif looked down at her own hands. How do I begin? Haldor stepped back. Hit the stone. Sif raised her fist. She hesitated. She hit it lightly. Her hand stung. The stone did not move. Haldor shook his head. You strike with fear. Strike again. Sif struck harder. Pain shot through her knuckles. She grit her teeth. Again, Haldor said. She hit the stone again. Pain flared. Her breath grew short. Again, she struck. Harder. Her hand throbbed. Her body screamed to stop. Again, she struck with force she did not know she held. The stone chipped. Haldor watched her hand. You wake. Sif shook her fingers. Pain pulsed up her arm. This path breaks people. Yes, Haldor said, but it also builds them. She lowered her fist. What if I lose myself? Haldor met her eyes. You do not walk this alone. Wind swept across the ridge. Snow drifted past their feet. The cold pressed into Sif's bones. She did not retreat. Haldor pointed toward the forest far below. He watches us. He learns your scent now. Sif felt her chest tighten. The one who followed you? Yes, Haldor said. He waits for your weakness. He waits for night. We face him soon? Sif asked. Haldor nodded. Tonight. Sif lowered her blade at her side. Then teach me more. Haldor stepped back. Lesson 2. Movement. He pointed at the ridge path. Run it. Sif looked at the narrow trail carved along the ridge edge. Ice covered parts of it. One slip would send her down a steep slope. That path tests fear, she said. That path reveals fear, Haldor replied. Sif took her first steps along the ridge. Snow crunched under her boots. Wind pushed against her side. She spread her arms for balance. She moved slow at first. Faster, Haldor said. Sif picked up her pace. Her breath came sharp. The path turned narrow. She almost slipped. She steadied herself. Faster! She ran. Her boots found small holds. Her arms cut through the wind. She turned at the end of the ridge and ran back toward Haldor. He watched her with a tight gaze. Again. She ran the ridge again. Her lungs burned. Her legs ached. Her fingers felt numb. Again. She ran until her vision blurred. Again. She ran until her legs trembled. Enough, Haldor said at last. Sif staggered to a stop. She bent forward. She took slow breaths. Haldor stepped close. He placed his palm on her shoulder. You rise faster than others. Sif steadied herself. I feel something now, a heat inside. That is your strength waking, Haldor said. Do not let it fade. Sif straightened. Teach me the last lesson. Haldor pointed toward the stone hall far below. Lesson 3, protection. Sif frowned. From what? From him, Haldor said. The one who hunts. He follows the weak. You must shield those you love, not with walls, with presence. Sif looked at the hall. Smoke drifted from the chimney. She thought of her mother, the elders, scarred, the chieftain. Everyone inside lived unaware of the danger creeping toward them. How do I protect them? Sif asked. Haldor stared into the forest. You learn to sense him. You learn to move before he moves. You learn to strike before he strikes. Sif's pulse quickened. How do I sense him? Haldor closed his eyes. Feel the cold, Sif frowned. The cold surrounds us. Not this cold, Haldor said. His cold. Sif closed her eyes. She breathed slow. Wind brushed her face. Snow shifted. Stone held frost. Then she felt it, a thin spike of cold at the edge of her senses. Not the air, not the snow, a presence. She opened her eyes. I feel him, Haldor nodded. He moves closer. Sif stared at the forest. Shadows crawled between the trees. She could not see him, but she knew he was there. What next? She asked. Haldor turned toward the hall. We return. We prepare. Sif followed him down the ridge. Snow slid under their feet. Their steps left deep prints. The valley looked different now. The cold felt sharper. The air felt tense. Sif placed a hand on her side. Her body felt stronger, her breath steadier, her senses sharp. Haldor stopped halfway down the slope. Sif, she turned to him. Yes. You walk a path many fear, he said, but you hold strength others lack. When night falls, he comes. When he comes, you stand between him and your clan. Sif swallowed hard. And you? Haldor looked toward the dark trees. I finish what started long ago. They continued toward the hall. Snow crunched under their boots. Smoke from the chimney rose thicker now as the clan prepared for night. Sif felt no fear now, not because the danger faded, but because she started to grow into the strength she carried. The hall prepared for night. Torches lined the walls. The hearth burned hot. Clan members moved in steady rhythm. They sharpened blades. They wrapped furs around windows. They checked every corner. The air carried tension. No one spoke loud. No one laughed. They felt danger near. Sif entered the hall with Haldor close behind. Snow dripped from their boots. The chieftain stepped forward. "How far?" he asked. Haldor answered, "Close." The chieftain frowned. "How close?" "Close enough to smell your fire," Haldor said. Silence swept across the hall. Skard walked toward Sif. His steps held anger and worry. He looked at her hands. They stayed swollen from striking stone. "You trained with him?" "Yes," Sif said. "Why?" Skard asked. "He belongs to a lost group. He brings danger here." "He brings danger we already face," Sif replied. Skard tightened his grip on his spear. "You think he helps you?" "He does," Sif said. "He teaches strength we need tonight." Skard stepped closer. "I protect you." Sif held his gaze. "Then trust me." Skard hesitated. His jaw clenched. He stepped back. The chieftain looked at Haldor. "Tell us what hunts you." Haldor stepped to the center of the hall. All eyes turned to him. Fire crackled behind him. "He was once like me," Haldor said. "He trained with me. He stood beside me as a brother. But the old leaders pushed him past sense, past human limits. He trained until his mind broke. His body changed. His strength grew beyond reason. He forgot sleep. He forgot warmth. He forgot his own name." An elder stepped forward. "What does he seek now?" Haldor's voice stayed low. "He hunts anything strong, anything warm, anything alive." Fear rippled through the hall. Sif stepped forward. "We protect this hall." Haldor nodded. "Yes, but he tears walls. He breaks wood. He crushes bone. You must strike him fast. Strike him without pause." Skarde raised his spear. "I face him." "No," Haldor said. "You fall first." Skard bristled. "You think me weak." "I think you too slow," Haldor said. Sif stepped between them. "Stop. We fight together." The chieftain nodded. "Yes, we stand as one." Haldor said. "One leads." The chieftain asked. "Who?" Haldor looked at Sif. "Her." Gasps filled the hall. Sif felt heat rise to her face. "Me?" "Yes," Haldor said. "The strength in you wakes. You sense him. You rise fast. You stand at the center." The chieftain looked at her. His eyes held surprise, but also trust. "If this is your path, we support it." Sif felt her chest tighten. She stepped forward. She raised her chin. "I lead." Haldor nodded. "Good." He turned to the clan. "Prepare now. When darkness takes the ridge, he moves." The clan gathered weapons. Blades gleamed. Spears stood ready. Shields rested along the wall. Sif stepped outside with Haldor. Night approached fast. The sun dipped behind the ridge. Shadows stretched long across the snow. Sif narrowed her eyes. "He moves now." Haldor nodded. "You feel him?" "Yes," she said. The cold felt different now, sharper, focused. It pressed from one direction. The trees far across the valley held something unseen. Sif tightened her grip on her blade. "Tell me what breaks him." Haldor answered. "Speed. Precision. You strike the joints. You strike the throat. You strike the ribs near the heart." "He feels pain?" Sif asked. "Yes, he feels everything. That is his curse." Sif stared at the forest. "We lure him here?" Haldor shook his head. "He comes without lure." Wind swept across the snow. Darkness crept over the ridge. A thin mist rose. The valley fell silent. Even the wind held its breath. Sif whispered, "He watches." Haldor nodded. "Yes." A faint crack echoed across the ice. Sif stepped forward. There. A second crack, closer. Skard exited the hall with his spear ready. "He comes?" "Yes," Sif said. Clan members formed a circle around the hall. Torches burned bright. Shadows stretched across the snow. The chieftain raised his axe. "Stand firm." Another crack sounded. Then a shape moved between the trees. Slow, heavy, tall, a figure stepped into the open. Sif's breath froze. He stood twice the height of a man. Muscles bulged under frost-covered skin. His hair hung wild over his shoulders. His eyes shone cold and empty. His steps pressed deep into the snow. Runes marked his chest. His breath rose in thick clouds. Skard whispered, "What is he?" Haldor answered, "A broken warrior." The figure stopped at the edge of the valley. His head tilted. He smelled the air. His chest rose with long breaths. Sif stepped forward. "He smells us." "Yes," Haldor said. "He chooses his first target now." The creature lifted his chin. He looked straight at Sif. She felt cold pierce her chest. Her fingers tightened around her blade. "He chooses you," Haldor said. Sif lowered her stance. "Good." The creature let out a slow exhale. Snow shifted under his feet. He leaned forward. Haldor's voice stayed firm. "When he runs, you move first." Sif focused on his legs, his breath, his weight. He crouched. He charged. Sif moved. She ran toward him with full speed. Snow scattered behind her. The distance between them closed fast. His footsteps shook the ground. His breath roared in her ears. He swung a massive arm. Sif dropped to the snow. His strike cut the air above her head. She rolled and sliced his leg. Her blade struck hard muscle. He growled. Blood hit the snow. Skard ran forward with his spear raised. "No!" Haldor yelled. "Stay back!" Skard charged anyway. The creature swung his arm and struck him. Skard flew back and crashed into the snow. His spear snapped in half. Sif's heart hammered. She sprinted at the creature. She struck his ribs. The blade cut deep. He roared. He turned with surprising speed. His hand grabbed her cloak. He lifted her from the ground. His grip crushed her chest. She gasped. Haldor ran forward. "Strike his wrist!" Sif twisted her body. She slammed her blade into his wrist. The creature roared and dropped her. She hit the snow hard. Her vision blurred. The creature swung at Haldor. Haldor blocked with the wooden staff. The staff snapped. Haldor slid back. His wound reopened. Blood dripped onto the snow. Sif pushed herself up. Pain shot across her ribs. But she stood. "Sif!" Haldor shouted. "The throat!" She ran again. She ducked under his arm. She leaped. She drove her blade into his throat. The creature roared in agony. Blood sprayed. He staggered. He swung his arm wildly. Sif rolled away. He dropped to one knee. Haldor ran behind him. He struck the base of the creature's skull with a broken piece of staff. The creature fell forward. His face hit the snow. His breath slowed. Sif approached him. Her blade dripped red. She felt her pulse throb in her ears. The creature lifted his head. His eyes met hers. For a moment, she saw something human flicker inside. Pain, memory, loss. Then the light faded. His body fell still. Snow fell silent again. The clan exhaled as one. The chieftain stepped forward. "Sif, you ended him." Skard groaned on the ground. Sif rushed to his side. She helped him sit. "You live?" He winced. "Yes." Haldor walked toward them. Blood dripped from his side, but he stood tall. "You fought with strength beyond your years." Sif looked at the creature's body. "Is it over?" Haldor shook his head. "For him, yes. For your clan, no." Sif frowned. "What danger remains?" Haldor looked toward the ridge. If one survived, more hide in the wild. They feel the loss of one of their own. They move when night falls. They follow strength. Sif felt a cold weight settle in her chest. Haldor said, "Your path grows harder now." Night faded slow over the valley. The storm lifted. Wind drifted through the trees in quiet waves. The creature's body lay still in the snow outside the hall. Clan members gathered around it with guarded eyes. No one relaxed. No one stepped close. The danger that pressed on them all night had ended, yet something in the air stayed sharp. Sif stood near the body. Her blade hung at her side. Blood stained the snow around her boots. Her chest rose and fell with steady breaths. The strength she woke during training still pulsed inside her. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from the weight of what she faced. Haldor approached. His wound stayed wrapped tight. Pain showed in his slow steps, but his posture held firm. He fell stronger than most. You fought him with full heart. Sif did not turn. He looked at me at the end. I saw something human. Haldor nodded. He was human once. Pain took that from him. Training broke him. Cold shaped what remained. That fate waited for many in my old clan. Sif looked at Haldor's runes. How did you avoid it? He stood beside her. I listened to pain. I did not run from it. I learned its shape. I learned its line. Those who break do not respect the line. They cross it again and again until their mind fades. Sif tightened her grip on her blade. I felt the line today. You stepped close, Haldor said. You stepped away when needed. Sif turned toward the hall. Clan members worked to clean the field. Elders gathered near the hearth. The chieftain watched the ridge with a silent gaze. Sif whispered, I fear what wakes inside me. Haldor looked at her with steady eyes. Fear helps you. Fear keeps you from crossing the line. She swallowed. You said danger still comes. Yes, Haldor said. He did not train alone. Others walked the wild. Some fled into deeper snow. Some hid in mountain caves. They feel a bond. When one falls, others sense the loss. Sif looked across the valley. When do they come? Haldor answered. Soon. The chieftain approached them. What truth does he speak now? Haldor faced him. Your clan must prepare for more. One creature does not move alone. His kind follow scent and sound. They hunt strength. The chieftain sighed. How many remain? Few, Haldor said, but one is enough to break a hall if unprepared. Skard limped toward them. He carried fresh bandages on his arm. We face more? We barely survived one. Haldor looked at him. You faced him with fear. Sif faced him with strength. She held the path. She stands ready for more. Skard stared at Sif. She led well, but we cannot place all weight on her. Sif shook her head. I stand first. I do not stand alone. Skard nodded once. An elder approached. We burn the body. Haldor raised a hand. No, you bury it far from your hall. Fire spreads scent. Burial hides it. The elder frowned. He deserves fire. He deserves silence, Haldor said. They carried the creature's body across the field. Snow shifted under their steps. Sif helped guide the path. They reached a distant ridge. They dug deep into frozen earth. They lowered the body. They covered it with heavy stones. Sif placed her hand on the last stone. Her breath steadied. She felt the cold settle. Haldor stood behind her. You closed the story of one lost life. Now you begin a new one. Sif turned. Tell me more of the old clan. Haldor looked toward the forest. We lived in places colder than this valley. We trained with hunger. We ran across ice barefoot. We climbed cliffs with frozen hands. We fought storms without shelter. We believed strength came only from pain. Sif asked, Did it? It shaped strength, Haldor said. But it took minds. It stole peace. It swallowed families. We broke each other in the name of growth. I fled when I saw what we became. Sif watched his face. Why did you survive the change? I held a memory, Haldor said. A memory of warmth, of a person who saved me once. That memory kept me human. Sif stepped closer. Who saved you? Haldor kept his eyes on the trees. Your grandmother. Sif froze. My grandmother? Yes, Haldor said. She found me half buried in snow. She pulled me from the cold. She taught me calm. She taught me patience. She taught me strength must serve others, not crush them. Sif felt her throat tighten. She never told anyone. She protected you, Haldor said. She knew someday you needed this truth. Sif stared at the snow. So my strength comes from her. Partly, Haldor said. Part from your mother, part from your own trials. You hold a line of survivors. Sif took a slow breath. Then we faced the next danger, as a clan. They walked back to the hall. The clan gathered inside. The chieftain stood near the hearth. Elders lined the walls. Skard stood near the door. Sif stepped forward. We face more. We prepare. The chieftain nodded. Speak. Sif turned to the clan. Tonight we fought something shaped by cold and pain. More may come. We do not hide. We do not freeze in fear. We train. We sharpen every skill. We station guards. We build traps. We strengthen the hall. An elder asked, Who leads the defense? Sif answered, I do. Silence held for a moment. Then the chieftain spoke. She earns it. Skard stepped forward. I follow her. The elders nodded. Haldor stepped beside Sif. I teach her the last lesson. Sif turned to him. What lesson remains? Strength shared, Haldor said. Strength grows only when given to others, not kept alone. He faced the clan. I show you what my old clan knew before they lost sense. The clan gathered nearer. Haldor demonstrated movement, stances, breathing patterns, grip shifts, balance positions. He guided each person. He corrected small errors. He moved slow but precise. Tipi Foskitpi trained beside him. Her movements grew sharp. Her feet found solid ground. Her breath matched her strength. Skard trained beside Sif. Their movements aligned. They stepped forward. They stepped back. They cut air with perfect timing. Elders trained slower but steady. Children watched from the corner with wide eyes. Hours passed. Torches burned low. The hearth cracked. Night returned. Sif stood outside the hall. Snow fell light. The valley lay quiet. Her breath drifted in pale mist. Haldor stepped beside her. Your clan grows stronger. They follow well, Sif said. They follow you, Haldor replied. She looked across the forest. Will more come? Yes, Haldor said. But not tonight. Sif felt calm settle inside her. The cold no longer stung. The valley felt familiar again, strong again. She turned to Haldor. What path do you take now? He looked at the mountains. I return to the wild. I find those who remain. I end what my old clan started. Sif felt a weight in her chest. You leave us? He nodded. Your path grows here. Mine walks elsewhere. She lowered her gaze. Will I see you again? Haldor stepped close. He placed a hand on her shoulder. You hold strength that grows beyond these walls. You lead your people. I return when the world needs you again. He turned toward the ridge. Sif said, Haldor. He paused. Thank you, she said. He nodded once, then walked into the snow. His figure faded into the dark. His steps left deep prints that slowly filled with falling flakes. Sif watched until she saw no trace. She turned back toward the hall. Warm light spilled from the doorway. The clan waited inside. Her family, her people. She stepped inside. The door closed. The valley rested for now. But Sif did not rest as the girl she once was. She rested as the leader she became. Thank you for staying through this long story. You walked beside Sif as she grew from a young fighter into the voice her clan trusted. You listened to Haldor's truth. You felt the cold settle over the valley. You watch strength pass from one life to another. Your time here kept the fire of this world bright. Before you leave, breathe slow. Let your shoulders drop. Let your mind settle. Let the quiet of the hall stay with you for one last moment. Tell me where you watched from. I enjoy knowing where these old stories find a home. If you want more Viking stories like this, feel welcome to subscribe, like, or leave a soft comment. It helps me shape the next tale for you. In the next video, I will tell you about a lone shield maker whose work held back an entire raid. I left a small freebie for you in the description. Rest well until the next story.